Hello, sports fans. We are ready for NFL picks for week number 12 in the league where they play. For pay! And let's get right to it. Let's keep it short and sweet today. I know you guys are busy with the holidays coming up, so let's go! Pick number 1. Let's go to the Big D in Dallas, where the Dallas Cowboys are -7.5 against the Washington Redskins. How fortunes change so quickly in the NFL. Just a couple weeks ago, Dallas had that awful Monday night loss to Tennessee where they looked horrendous. Washington had a 2-game lead in the division. They looked like they were going to sail to the division title. And in just a couple weeks, things have changed in a hurry. Dallas up to 5-5. They've won 2 in a row. They beat Atlanta. Last second field goal by the Cowboys. And Washington, they're down to 6-4. Lose a tough game to the Texans, but then lose their quarterback Smith for the year. Now you got McCoy quarterbacking. How quickly things have changed. I have to like Dallas here. Short week for Washington, on the road. Here comes McCoy, who I haven't seen in about 3 years. Some of these backup quarterbacks, I forget they're even in the league. I mean, now it's a tough division game. That's asking a lot for Washington. Have to like Dallas. Dallas has to smell blood in the water here. They got an absolute early Christmas present. I mean, McCoy, short week. Dallas now a chance to tie for the division. I got to like the Cowboys here. Move it to 1.5. I think the boys get through. Washington is going to have to show me that they can get it done with McCoy. This is a tough spot. You know, short week on the road with a quarterback that hasn't really played in 3 years. I'll take the boys -1.5 in a 2-team teaser. That is pick number 1. Pick number 2. Let's go down to New Orleans. The Superdome. Mardi Gras. Fat Tuesday. Drew Brees running the show. Who dat? I said, who dat? As the New Orleans Saints continue to roll. Right now they look like the best team in football. Saints up to 9-1, just demolished the Eagles. The Saints can do no wrong right now. And the Saints are a very likable team. I know you guys have your favorite teams out there. Hard not to like the Saints. I mean, even if they're not your favorite team, it's hard to go against them. It's hard to dislike them. I mean, who doesn't like Drew Brees? I mean, come on. So the Saints -13 against their division rivals, the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta down to 4-6, lost to Dallas. It's just not happening for Atlanta this year. They lose another close game. That's been a theme since they lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Atlanta just can't get it done. They had won 3 in a row. They got up to 4-4. They had the awful loss to the Browns. They come back, lose a tough game here. 4-6. It's just not happening for the Falcons this year. You have to think the Saints are going to win this game. If you want to move the line down to, say, 7 in a 2-team teaser, I could see that. Money line is going to be really high, but you have to think the Saints are going to win, and you can't trust the Falcons. You just can't trust them. The Saints have been blowing out everyone. The Falcons can't get out of their own way. The Saints will find a way to get the job done here and win this game. Play it whatever way you want. Saints get the W. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3. Let's go down to Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens are -11 against the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders actually showed a pulse and beat Arizona at the buzzer. Raiders up to 2-8. Baltimore up to 5-5. Beat Cincinnati. Flacco did not play. Jackson played well, especially with his legs. He was running all over the field. Flacco, again, questionable for this game. Listen, you got to like Baltimore some way here, whether it's money line, whether it's teaser, whether it's straight up. Oakland is not going to go across the country and beat Baltimore, no matter who the quarterback is. I know the Raiders won last week. That was against Arizona. They're not beating Baltimore on the road. This is too big a game for the Ravens. The Ravens will smother the Raiders. It should be Baltimore all day. The Raiders probably will check out of this game at some point. I like Baltimore, like New Orleans. Play the game any way you want. Baltimore gets the win. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4. Let's go to the Mile High City in Denver, where the Pittsburgh Steelers are -3.5 against the Denver Broncos. Pittsburgh continues their winning ways. They're up to 7-2-1. They come back and beat Jacksonville. They're down 16-0 in this game. They rallied to win late. Steelers are playing very good football. Of course, Bell will not be back this year. I mean, forget him. Let him go take a walk somewhere else. They have Connor. Steelers have a lot of chemistry right now. Steelers really doing a nice job after the slow start to the season. Denver up to 4-6, had a really nice win against the LA Chargers. Give Denver credit. They were coming off a bye, coming off that tough loss to the Texans where they missed a field goal at the end. And they really showed a lot of resolve in this game, coming back and winning against their division rivals. Now, I'll get to the Chargers later. There's a lot to cover with them as they reverted back to the old Chargers. But give Denver credit. They came to play on the road. That shows me a lot. That shows me the team hasn't quit. Really nice, gutty win by the Broncos. I'm going to move the line to 9.5 and take Denver here. Pittsburgh never blows out anyone on the road. Denver is always tough at home in the Mile High City. You know, that altitude always plays havoc on the road teams. Denver showed me enough last week that they're going to be very competitive in this game. So I'll take Denver plus 9.5 and feel very comfortable that way. That is pick number 4. Pick number 5. Let's get to the Chargers. Let's go to Los Angeles, where the LA Chargers are -12 against the Arizona Cardinals. As I mentioned, Arizona down to 2-8, lost to Oakland at home. That's all you need to know about Arizona. They can't beat anyone but San Francisco. The LA Chargers down to 7-3, lost to Denver. The Chargers reverted back to the old Chargers. Turnovers, 15 penalties, bad defense at the end of the game. And what in the world was the clock management at the end of the game for the Chargers? They had no business losing this game. No business at all. There's less than 2 minutes to go in the game. Chargers have a 2nd and 4. I think they're around midfield. They run a botched handoff, so they take a loss there. And then on 3rd down, what are they doing? It's like 3rd and I think 8 around midfield. Denver has no timeouts left. They have no timeouts left with, I think, a little under 2 minutes to play. The Chargers should run the ball there, or a conservative pass play, or Rivers should just go down to the ground and take the loss. What does Phillip Rivers do? They run a passing play. It blows up in a hurry, and he spikes the ball into the ground in 1 second. He took the snap, saw nothing was going on, spiked it into the ground, clock stops. What are you doing, Phillip Rivers? What are you doing? You've been in the league how long? You're a Pro Bowl quarterback. Use your head. You want to run a pass there? Okay. I would have run the ball there, punted down to the 10-yard line, took the clock down to like a minute. You want to run a pass play there, pick up the 1st down and end the game right there? Okay, but once the pass play falls apart, you cannot spike the ball into the ground. You have to go down to the ground, Rivers, take your 5-yard loss, let the clock keep running, and punt the ball. You saved Denver a minute on the clock, and sure enough, that extra time came back to bite you in the end because Denver got down the field at the end. That was terrible clock management by the Chargers. That was the old Chargers over and over again. That's what we saw for them like the last decade. I thought they got out of that this year. They played some really good football up until this point. That was a bad loss by the Chargers, and that was a bad way to lose by the Chargers. Like I said, 15 penalties, turnovers, bad clock management. That's the old Chargers. Bad defense at the end. They let Denver waltz down the field. I mean, how many times was Sanders going to run that, down and in pattern? I mean, can the Chargers cover him? Can they tackle him just once? Bad loss by the Chargers. Listen, I don't want to get on them too much because they are 7-3. They've had a nice year. This was, their first really bad loss of the year. So I'm not going to get on them too much, but that was not a good loss for the Chargers. As far as this game, listen, the Chargers are going to roll in this game. They're going to be stewing that they lost to the Cardinals all week. I mean, they should blow out Arizona again. Straight up, money line, teaser, whatever way you want to go, the Chargers are going to win. Chargers are pick number 5. Pick number 6. Let's go up to Buffalo. Here's a humdinger. with the Jacksonville Jaguars are minus 3.5 against the Buffalo Bills. Jacksonville down to 3-7. They've lost 6 in a row. That's hard to believe. Fournette did get back on the field last week, but Jacksonville, like I said before, blew a 16-0 lead. Jacksonville has fallen completely apart. Hard to believe after Jacksonville beat New England that they now have lost 6 games in a row. Hard to believe. Buffalo, they are 3-7. They are coming off the bye. They blew out the Jets a couple weeks ago. Allen might play in this game, so that would be a positive for Buffalo. Do you realize if Buffalo wins this game, Buffalo has a better record than Jacksonville? Who would have ever thought that at the beginning of the year? I'm going to say Allen plays this week, so I'm going to move the line up to 9.5 and take Buffalo. Allen gives the Buffalo the best chance to win. I get the home field, and I get 9.5. I don't trust Jacksonville at all. I mean, to blow teams out now on the road, they haven't showed me anything now in a month and a half, Jacksonville. I will take a chance. I probably won't play this game with my own money, but I'll take a chance here, as far as the picks go. I'll take Buffalo plus 9.5 and go that way. I just don't trust Jacksonville on the road to blow out anyone. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7, let's go down to Tampa Bay, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are minus 3 against the San Francisco 49ers. This is another my bags are packed trip. Plenty of seats available down there in West Florida. I mean, my goodness, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, ouch. Tampa Bay down to 3-7, lost to the Giants. Winston will now play at quarterback this week. Tampa Bay keeps shuffling quarterbacks. What they don't realize, Tampa Bay, I guess, is their defense is absolute Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese defense. They give up points to everybody. Doesn't matter who's quarterbacking. San Francisco 2-8 coming off a bye. Listen, I got to take Tampa Bay here at home. This is a long trip for San Francisco. A holiday weekend. Let's go all the way down to Tampa Bay. San Francisco is decimated with injuries. I know Tampa Bay can score. I know that. I mean, I'll take Tampa Bay. I cannot take San Francisco on the road. I just can't do it. I mean, so I will take Tampa Bay here. Don't love the game, obviously, but we'll take Tampa Bay probably in the money line. I disregard the 3 points. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8, let's go to the jungle in Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati Bengals are minus 3 against the Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati 5-5 lost to Baltimore. Cincinnati's going the other way. Marvin Lewis has to go. Green, who knows about him this week? He's questionable. Cleveland 3-6-1 coming off the bye. They beat Atlanta 2 weeks ago. Looked good doing it. This is a battle of Ohio. I'll move the line to 9 and say it's a close game either way. Both teams have flaws. I just think this will be a tough division in-state battle that could go either way. I'll take Cleveland plus 9 there. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, not too far from here, with the New England Patriots, a minus 9.5 against the New York Jets. Jets 3-7 coming off a bye. They've lost 4 in a row. They got just bamboozled by Buffalo 2 weeks ago. Who knows who's quarterbacking the Jets? Probably won't matter. New England 7-3. They're also coming off a bye. They got blown out by Tennessee 2 weeks ago, so you know New England is coming to play this week. Sometimes New England struggles in the Meadowlands against the Jets. I don't think they will this week. They've had 2 weeks to stew. They got absolutely torched by Tennessee 2 weeks ago. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. The Jets are falling to pieces. We don't even know who's quarterbacking the Jets. New England should roll in this game. Maybe move the line to 3.5, play them in a teaser. One way or the other, New England gets the W. That's pick number 9. Pick number 10. Let's go to Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Eagles are minus 6 against the New York Giants. Giants up to 3-7, beat Tampa Bay. The Giants have actually won 2 in a row. I know they beat Tampa Bay and San Francisco, ho-hum, but for the Giants, they'll take anything they can get. Philadelphia, what happened to you this year? Super Bowl, hangover, all sorts of injuries. 4-6, got bombed by New Orleans. Philly's got too many guys out. I mean, running backs out, secondaries out. It's just not happening for the Eagles this year. It's just not happening. But they did win the Super Bowl last year. They got a big-time Super Bowl hangover this year. Philly blew out the Giants earlier this year. That was the Thursday night game where the Giants didn't even show up. I think this game will be closer, so I will move the line to 12 in a 2-team teaser and take the Giants. Giants have won 2 in a row. Eagles have lost 2 in a row. These division games are usually close. I gotta think this one is as well. I think it's going to be a tight, high-scoring game. I think it could go either way. I gotta think the Giants are going to play better than the first time they played against the Eagles. Eagles got so many guys out in the secondary, and the Giants do have weapons. If they could ever protect Eli, they do have weapons on the outside they can utilize. So I will take the Giants plus 12 in what should be a close division game. Should be a high scorer as well, as long as the weather is good. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11, very interesting game here. Let's go down to Carolina, where the Carolina Panthers are minus 3.5 against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle up to 5-5, came back and beat Green Bay. Very important win for Seattle. Carolina down to 6-4. Tough loss to Detroit. Missed an extra point earlier in the game. Then they could have tied the game with an extra point late. They go for 2. They got a guy wide open in the end zone. Cam Newton airmails it, over his head. Carolina takes the loss. I'll tell you, Carolina took a 7-0 lead in this game, and then they fell asleep for about 3 quarters. Tried to rally late, fell short. I was a little surprised by that performance by Carolina. I thought they'd beat Detroit. They did not. So Carolina is now down to 6-4. This is a tough game. This is a big game in the grand scheme of things for the NFC playoffs. I'm going to move the line to 9.5 and take Seattle. I think this game, again, very close game. Could go either way. I mean, very hard to pick a winner. You want to tell me slight edge to Carolina being at home? That's fine. You have to think the game is going to be close. So I'll take the 9.5 and take Seattle there. That's pick number 11. Pick number 12. Let's go to Indianapolis, where the Indianapolis Colts are minus 9.5 against the Miami Dolphins. Let me say it again. The Colts are 9.5 against the Dolphins. About a month ago, would we have thought that? Miami 5-5. They are off the bye. Who knows about Tannehill? Will he play? I'm not so sure. Indianapolis 5-5. They beat Tennessee. Indianapolis has won 4 straight. We haven't talked a lot about Indianapolis. They've won 4 in a row after losing to the Jets of all teams. Indianapolis is right there for that last playoff spot. If they would have taken the tie against the Texans, they would be in that last playoff spot. And they lost to the Jets. That's how important Andrew Luck is to the team. Andrew Luck means so much. He's kind of like Aaron Rodgers. We always talk about Aaron Rodgers and what he means to the Packers. Andrew Luck means just as much to the Colts. This is a guy who hadn't played in a year and a half. The team is playing really well. 4 in a row. Hard to believe the Colts have won 4 in a row and are 5-5. Never would have thought that at the beginning of the year. I'm going to move the line to 3.5 and take the Colts in a teaser. Again, I don't know about Tannehill. I would guess he wouldn't play. Miami's going in the wrong direction. The Colts are red hot. They're home. Gotta like the Colts here. That's pick number 12. Pick number 13. Let's go down to Texas again, where the Houston Texans are minus 6 against the Tennessee Titans. Texans up to 7-3, beat Washington. They've won 7 straight games, winning a lot of close games. Tennessee down to 5-5, got blown out by Indianapolis. Mariota hurt again. I always feel like Mariota is questionable every week. And Tennessee's an impossible team to figure out. They blow out New England, get blown out by the Colts. They look good, they look bad. You never know what you're getting. Mariota's always questionable. Who knows if he even plays? Move the line to pick him. I'm taking the Texans at home. Texans lost to Tennessee this year. That's when Watson, burned up like 30 seconds at the end of the game before he threw the ball and the clock ran out. Texans going to look for a little revenge here. With Mariota being questionable, I got to go Houston here. Texans in a teaser. That's pick number 13. Pick number 14, another big divisional game where the Minnesota Vikings are minus 3.5 against the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay down to 4-5-1, lost a tough game to Seattle, a game they were winning a lot of the game, couldn't get it done at the end. They had a bad last possession, then couldn't make a stop on defense. Green Bay really has to win this game. If they don't, they could be history. Minnesota down to 5-4-1, lost to Chicago. I haven't been impressed with Minnesota this year. I thought they'd be a lot better than this. I mean, Chicago, for a lot of that game, pushed them around. I thought Minnesota would be better. They lose at home to Buffalo. They've had a lot of bad performances this year, Minnesota. They are still 5-4-1. They're still right there for the playoffs. This is a monster game for both teams. I'm going to move the line to 9.5. Say it's a close game. Remember the first time these two teams played? Ended in a tie. Green Bay should have won. Then Minnesota could have won. It was a wild game. I think it'll be the same set of circumstances here. I'll take Green Bay plus 9.5 in what should be a wild game, a big game, an important game. That's pick number 14, and pick number 15, the final pick. Remember, the Rams and the Chiefs have off this week. They played last night in that wild Monday night game where the Rams won by 3 points in a wild score. Rams up to 10-1, Chiefs down to 9-2. That was a wild game in LA. Remember, that game was supposed to be in Mexico. They had to move it because of the bad field conditions. So the Rams and the Chiefs have the week off. So the final pick, this is the early game on Thanksgiving. The Chicago Bears -4 against the Detroit Lions. Detroit up to 4-6, beat Carolina. Like I said before, I was surprised about that game. I thought Carolina would win. Give Detroit credit for hanging on and playing tough in that game. Chicago up to 7-3, beat Minnesota, have a 1.5 lead in the division. By the way, the schedule makers didn't do Chicago any favors. Let's play the Sunday night game. And then let's play the early Thanksgiving game. I mean, come on with this. Come on with this scheduling. And by the way, Detroit should have been on the road last week. You can't have Detroit host Thanksgiving and then have them home the week before. And then you got Chicago playing Sunday night in the early game on Thanksgiving. It just makes no sense to scheduling. No sense whatsoever. To me, do away with Thursday night football completely. Keep the 2 Thanksgiving games, Detroit and Dallas at home. Have like the teams play, then have a bye, then have them play like back-to-back Thursday games and go from there. That's how you work, Thanksgiving. I would keep Detroit and Dallas home for Thanksgiving. I'd do away with all the other Thursday night games. And I'd use the bye and I'd play back-to-back Thursday games for the teams participating in Thanksgiving to make it fair for all participants. To have Chicago play on Sunday Night Football and now the early game in Detroit, come on. Having said that, I still have to lean Bears. They're the more complete team. They have a ferocious defense. They beat up Detroit. And I don't like that Detroit, they beat up Detroit the first matchup, I should say. And Detroit doesn't have their back for this game. I don't love betting Thursday games, so I won't bet this game my own money. And this is the early game, so I'll definitely stay away from it. But if I have to pick it, the safe way to play this game is you got to think Chicago is going to win. They're just a more complete team. They have the better defense. Detroit is missing their running back. The only thing Detroit has going for them here, early game on Thanksgiving at home. Chicago's coming off the Sunday night game against a tough Minnesota team. That's the only thing Detroit has going for them here. I will take Chicago. That's the safe way to play the game. And by the way, make sure, so many times on Thanksgiving Day, I always put the TV on at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, and the game is already, going into the second quarter. Remember, the early game on Thanksgiving starts a half hour early, 12:30 Eastern Time. So many times I messed that up, and I turned the game on at 1 o'clock, and it was like the second quarter. I'm like, what happened here? Half hour early on Thanksgiving. So there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. I kept it short and sweet today. Next week, I will be ranting before the picks. I have a lot to cover. There will be a rant before the picks, so get ready. I'm loaded next week. A lot of good college football rivalries this week as well. I love this week in college football. Hard to believe college football is just about over. After this week, we're basically heading into our conference championship games, bowl games, and Final Four playoff. That's how fast college football goes by. You have your picks. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy the Thanksgiving. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the games. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Be prepared. I will be ranting. Talk to you then. Take care.